everybody, welcome to Ready to Roll. We're back, and we are excited. Before we get started, though, just a few things, announcements. Just a reminder about Heroic Tales that is taking place next week on Friday. That would be the 23rd, and of course, Rehash the Rolls on the 21st, that Wednesday, where you can ask questions of those of us participating in the campaign. So yeah, don't forget that. The other announcement we have is we have a one-shot coming up, and we, of course, as always, will be looking for players to come participate in it. We, of course, will start with members of our standing casts, and then branch out. But we just wanted to let everyone know that it's either going to be on the 30th or the 13th. I highly recommend coming to watch it because it'll be my first foray into game mastering a Savage Worlds game. So that will be interesting to see. I'll post a primer about it later tonight for you guys to see what it is, so you can decide if you want to play in it. What I will say about it is modern day supernatural-esque setting. It'll make more sense when I post it. Yeah,
supernatural as in the television
supernatural
series,
not really as in the television series, more of like the vibe, but it'll make more sense when I post it. The way that I describe it, have been described to people, is supernatural, meets XCOM. If any of you know what XCOM is, it's a video game, strategy video game. So that kind of thing. So yeah, I'll post some of that later. So if you're interested in playing, please let us know. And then, we have our recap given to us by Lydia.
All right. So, last time we were on a boat, and started off from square one. Very, very upsetting learning that Svetla's journal that Piotr had been reading had been misplaced, stolen, vanished into thin air, and we couldn't find it, which was very, very sad for Anya, for sure. We were on the boat for several days, and we ran into a abandoned ship of some kind, possible ghost ship. When we went to investigate it, learned that it was full of mimics. I had a bit of a freaky scenario with that before learning that it was even worse, and that the whole freaking ship was a mimic. But we lived. We didn't kill the mimic ship because it went all scuba divey and disappeared under the water and is probably following us at all times now. Other things that happened, Cor Vit got a bit of an ultimatum from his angel dad, that he needs to pick between angels and Eladin. And I think that was pretty much. Oh wait, no, Piotr and Galina are now roommates. Galina got peer pressured into accepting Piotr as her roommate.
peer assured.
There was some reassuring there that he would not murder or assault her. So yeah.
But don't worry, she threatened to use Fireball.
Yeah.
So
she'll take him out.
Yeah.
Lena's a big girl who can take care of herself. So, with that, we ended up with them coming into sight of the city of Astrahva. They've been on the high seas for probably about a week at this point, and they come in and they can see the city of Astrahva, which, if you look on, if you're looking at the map, that is the map that is on there. Astrahva is the oldest city on the Mordviran continent. It serves as the capital of the Holy Mordviran Empire, the Holy Empire of Mordver, and it pretty much acts as the center of the religious center and of course the religious center, and of course the governmental center of the entire empire. So with that, as you're pulling up, Captain Leodov turns to Cor Vit and he says, I'm assuming you want us to pull into the upper docks?
Yes, please. It would make our journey a bit quicker and easier to get to our destination.
Alrighty then we will pull into the upper docks. And with that, you come and you start heading towards the upper docks, and you pull up alongside this. You pull up alongside one of the docks. These docks are big enough for a full ship to dock next to, as it is this is a very high traffic port. So you pull up. You lower the gangplank for you guys to get off, and you get the first view of Astrahva for some of you. Some maybe, I imagine that at least Cor Vit has been here before. Have any of the rest of you been here in Astrahva before? I will leave that up to you to decide.
I imagine not.
Okay. Getting no from Agniya, getting no from Zhelanya. What about you, Piotr?
Yes, I've been here. Of course, I've been here.
Okay. All right. So Cor Vit and Piotr are, kind of familiar with the city, not overly familiar with it, of course, as it's not their home, but they've been here before. But the rest of you look around. The Upper Docks district is, one of the fancier of the docks districts, the two docks, and is mostly accessible to the middle and upper class. So the homes that you can see from the docks, besides the warehouses that would be alongside the, immediately next to the docks, the homes you can see in the distance and other buildings are of, that level of, of wealth, middle class to upper class. In the distance, of course, however, is the hill upon which everyone can see the Ashen Palace and the Cathedral of the Golden Flame, sitting in the distance, towering above the entirety of the city. The first mate Red Scale comes off the decks off the ship with you, and he looks at you, Cor Vit. Shall we take you to your family's estate?
I think I remember the way. I think we can get there. If you would is Captain Leosha exiting the ship with us?
Yes, Captain Leosha is.
Okay, in that case, yeah, you can go ahead and follow us. And I mean, Red Skull, if you'd like, you can take us there.
Father was quite insistent that one of us, either Captain Leodov or I, be the one to escort you to the estate when you arrived in Astrahva.
Ah, yes.
In
that case, as per your instructions, carry on.
Very well. He turns, and he's a dragonborn, so he's pretty tall, probably upwards of 7 feet. So he towers over the crowds of people that are kind of wandering around the docks. Even most of the humans, definitely the halflings and gnomes and dwarves that you can see. Well, this is probably the most diverse place in the Empire that you have seen to date. And he begins to lead you through the streets. You pass through the upper district, and then eventually into the central district, where it probably takes you a good hour or so to make your way to the gates of the lower district. What you can see on that map. Let me ping that real quick for you guys so you can see exactly where you're at. You're gonna be right about there. There are guards in Cor Vit and Piotr. You recognize that there are quite a few more guards than you would normally expect in this, guarding the gate. You approach, and one of the guards stops you and says, "State your business."
I glance over at Piotr and then be like, I got this. Step forward, says, I am just returning to my estate. I am Cor Vit Peshik. And my company are returning with me.
Yeah, so your seal, sir.
I didn't give away my ring, did I?
Yes, you did.
Who did I give that to?
You gave that to Dret.
I'm like, I have...
Story, I don't know where it is.
Funny story. I was like, wait a second. I actually do not have that on me.
So at this point, Red Scale intervenes. He comes in and he holds up a letter, rolled up letter, and he hands it to the guard. The guard unfurls it, reads it real quick, and hands it back to you. Your father, what seems, is waiting for you in the estate. I would not delay him much longer.
Thank you. Hey.
So you pass through the gates of the lower district, from the central district into the lower district, and immediately everything is a lot less crowded. There's fewer people walking along the paved roads. There's the buildings are, they're kind of clumped. They're kind of clumped together, but there's more space between them, and of course the shining jewel of the lower district is the Crescent Amphitheater, which you can see on the map there. It has these high stone walls, but these stone walls appear to be more decorative than defensive than anything. It has these high stone walls around its courtyard, but you can see the domes of the amphitheater raising, even above the stone. The stone walls almost as high as the cliffs behind them, upon which sit the Ashen Palace and the Cathedral of the Flame. You continue to follow, Cor Vit up the staircase that leads to the upper district. And Cor Vit, your family, being one of the richest of the families, has the biggest estate. Your estate is back there. You see that ping? So it's the one in the very back.
I was really confused by that noise for a second. It's like, what is going on?
Oh, man.
And you make your way to the shrine. Not the shrine. You make your way to the estate. Is everyone still following Cor Vit, or has people decided to go off on their own, or?
I mean, I don't know what I'm doing here. So, Piotr's definitely following Cor Vit, just because he's not super familiar with the city, so he's not gonna go chum around.
Fair.
Yeah, same.
Lena's
Definitely still with the group.
she's still following, but she's getting further and further behind because she keeps stopping to look at things.
Okay. All right. Is the intent to get lost and not be with them, or are you just lagging behind, catching back up, lagging behind, catching back up? Or
Yeah, that's what she's doing. She'll stop to look at something, realize she's losing them,
Okay.
walk quickly to get back up to the edge of the group, and then get distracted again.
All right. Well, there's a lot to distract, obviously. You're going to be walking past all the other estates to get to the estate of the Southern Isles, as well as you're walking past the Ashen Palace and the Cathedral of the Golden Flame. The Cathedral of the Golden Flame is an architectural, marvel, considered the greatest cathedral on the Mordvirian continent, if not the entire world. Considering the fact that a lot of the other religions in the world don't actually build cathedrals. It's not hard to do, but it's still considered a great cathedral. And you all remember fondly that if Drith was here, he would love to examine every inch of that building.
Oh. I'm like, Drith, you have my ring. I hope you use it well.
The Ashen Palace, in contrast, however, is clearly built to be you would not guess it was the home of royalty. It's clearly built to be a military fortification to defend, to be the last stand of the Holy Empire, should it need be. Its walls are tall, thick. It has, a bunch of guard towers. It is, this is the last defensive, bastion of the Empire, should that need ever arise. Very interesting to contrast the, at least, I would hope that you would find it very interesting to contrast the, beauty of the religious building versus the hardened exterior, Spartan, for lack of a better term, exterior of the governmental building in it, almost as if it's trying to say something about the function of the two entities in the realm. You make your way to the estate. Cor Vit, do you want to describe what your estate kind of looks like for me?
Wonderful. Yes, why don't I, Cor Vit? So, the estate, being my father, Boyar Conrad, likes to flaunt his wealth as much as he likes to hoard it, which is very interesting. As long as he can make it look like he's the wealthiest person, he's going to spend the money to do it. So, really what it is there's this really tall wall, 10 to 15 foot wall kind of surrounding much of it. However, that's behind more of like a hedge that he's really just like cut and trimmed. It's got flowers peeking out through it. And the entrance to the estate, which is huge, is kind of going underneath a kind of it has some kind of like a row or like 2 rows of trees, and then like the hedge arches leading through it, and the gate is like in the middle of kind of that pathway. And once you get through it, you have a massive 3-story, like just kind of like a mansion almost, where half of the mansion is 3 stories, the other half is 2, and there's a large garden off to the right of it, and then also behind it, as well as this really long kind of wraparound balcony, both on the first and the second floor. It's all kind of a whitish and reddish kind of, I don't know if it's made out of brick. I don't know what's the most common thing here, but white and red are kind of like the main colors of the estate. But kind of flowing down next to the front main windows and the main door entranceway are the Peshek family crest and symbol. One kind of draped on each side of it. Yeah, that's the estate in its simplest form.
All right. So you approach the main gate, and again, there are 2 guards. However, they are not wearing the colors of the Astrahvan Imperial the Mordvirian Imperial Army. They are instead wearing the colors of the Peshek House Guard. They stand outside. They, as you approach, they look at you and again say, "State your business." Probably a very common thing that guards have to say. And again, Red Scale hands over the letter to the letter to the guards. The guards read it. They open up the gate, let you pass. When you enter the gate, there are some more guards, waiting for you, as well as, who Cor Vit's guessing is his father's most recent steward. He's a man. Cor Vit's, probably seen him, but he looks fairly old. At least fairly old to you guys. Probably like 60s, 70s, getting up there. He's wearing, what you would probably imagine like the head butler wearing, very clean cut. He looks at you all and says, "Welcome to the Peshek estate. Boyar Peshek is very pleased to have you here, and as such, he would like to greet you all. However, he would believe that after your journey to arrive here, that you all would be pleased to partake in some of the amenities of the estate, as well as perhaps bathe and obtain changes of clothing. I have," and he motions to the guards. The guards will be willing to show you all to your individual quarters, in which you can make the change, make your bathe and change. And then he looks at Cor Vit. "However, Cor Vit, if you would follow me, your father would like a word with you before you join, you and your friends join him this evening for the meal."
Of course, I will follow you to my father.
He nods, and you all go off your separate ways, guided to your rooms.
As we kind of walk in, I stop like at the entranceway and just like take a deep breath and kind of just look at my companions, my friends, just say, "If you need anything, let them know. They'll take care of it for you. Enjoy yourselves. Relax for a bit, I guess. Wish me luck." And
You going to be okay?
Yeah, probably. I mean, probably. We'll see.
You're breathing kind of fast right now.
Yes, and I just never know what to make of my father. So we'll see what happens today and tonight. So
Your father's waiting, Cor Vit.
I'm coming,
All right.
and then follows the steward. What is your? As we're walking, I want to ask him, what's your name?
My name is Fredo.
Fredo. And how long have you been with my father?
A few months. I joined shortly after you disappeared.
God. Awesome. Thank you.
So the rest of you, start with the rest of you, are guided off to your separate rooms, and that and as you appear, as you get to, it's all kind of all along one hallway is a bunch of guest rooms that you're all in, and the guards look at you and say, and they put you motion to each room. Is like, you all have your own room, and he's like, I trust that these sleeping arrangements are acceptable. There's nothing that we need to be aware of.
Oh wait, I think I missed something. Go over the sleeping arrangements one more
You all
time.
have your own room.
Oh, That's what I figured. I just wanted to double check. And Piotr's thinking, will I roll like a 15 tonight? Or,
If you have a problem, spit it out.
He's wondering how many beds are in each room.
I mean,
Oh,
there's each room comes with one king-sized bed.
Is there like a living area couch in there as well?
Yes, each has a sitting room that would have a couch as well. Yes.
He'll be fine then.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
All right. Lord Boyar Pashek expects you all prepared for dinner in at least an hour. We'll be back to retrieve you then. And they turn and march away. All right. Before we go over to Cor Vit, Antivin looks at Jelania. Says, it's probably best if we sleep in our own separate rooms. This is a boyar we're talking about, and
Yes.
we don't necessarily want to start a scandal in the capital. At least not right now.
That's true.
And he looks at
Thank you
Piotr.
for
Looks at Piotr.
into a conversation.
Looks at Piotr. I wasn't referring to you. People could care less if you and Galina are sharing a room. I happen to be, engaged to a boyar's daughter.
This whole thing just makes me feel awkward, guys. Like, I can't, every time we stay under a different roof, I can't have to, awkwardly explain to them if they've got, an extra comforter or something, or if they care that I take the mattress from my designated room
Why
to
don't
somewhere.
you just lie and say that you're married?
That's what I was going to say.
Because that's... See, that's complicated.
That's too simple.
Right?
That's too. How is
No,
that complicated?
it is simple. It is simple. You know what?
Is Piotr also engaged? Should I be worried that some woman is going to be coming after me?
Oh no, perhaps as you can tell, I am very single. And you know what, Galina, I'll put the question. You know what? I've been convinced. That's a great idea. We can just pretend. Wow. But then we have to keep that up. It'll be a whole thing.
You only have to do it here, when we're in this house.
And then if we're at the market and I don't know.
Pretend not to be. Just don't. You don't know selective lying, that you lie to certain people and then not to other people.
No, I usually have an on and off switch. Like for example, with the whole, the thing. One anyway. Let's try it out. Character development, um, uh, skill development here. Let us. Yeah, that's Galena. How does that sound to you? I am convinced.
I'm confused. I think this whole thing has fried Piotr's brain.
There's a lot of other things.
At least for
Also,
my limited
this is
interactions with him, he was pretty fried before.
This is a big commitment. What if I meet a handsome elf 2 days from now, who I would like to get to know better?
Exactly. See, that's the thing. I don't want anyone to be under the impression that
Oh, they're going to be under an impression when they see you walking out my bedroom door in the morning. But it's not quite the same as saying we're married.
Which one is worse to you?
Are you talking to me or Piotr?
To both of you.
I don't know. I've been living in a tower for 200 years. Is this going to cause problems?
no, it's not. You know what? Screw it. I don't care what other people think. We're just not married. We don't have to tell them what is happening or why. It's just like he goes in there and he comes out in the morning. That's just what happens.
Uh-huh.
They both are
Okay.
commoners. I highly doubt that the nobility would be as interested in their love lives as it would be ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More interesting
Probably.
question, Zelandia. Why is Cor Vit afraid?
Well, that's kind of up to him. He and his father are very different, and he disappeared from home and didn't check in at all for months, and he might get a little lecture. I don't know if he seemed a little bit more afraid of like something worse than a lecture. I don't know. I don't know his father.
He's going to come back alive, though, right?
I would really hope that the boyar who is super obsessed with his angelic son would not, kill him. Unless there's a really big 180 about to happen.
Sometimes
okay.
hard to tell with this group.
Yeah, it takes a little bit to get used to, I think. But I would assume he will at least return physically whole. Emotionally, more difficult to ascertain. But I'm not very good with emotionally things. So
I think you'll be all right.
All right.
All right.
I guess we'll check on him later.
With that, Cor Vit, you are led by Fredo up the hallway. You do know that your father generally has a habit of his stewards not being from Mordor, so you guess that Fredo is probably from the Eastern Continent somewhere. That much you are aware of. But you arrive at the study entrance, and Fredo knocks. You hear, "Come in." Fredo opens the door, and he bows and motions for you to enter.
I step on inside, take a look around the study.
You see, of course, your father's, as you said, your father likes to demonstrate his wealth, show that he's the wealthiest man, and of course, books are a great way to demonstrate that. More education, more wealth. He has bookshelves, lying around the walls, just lined with very fancy leather-bound, gold embossed titles. These books that are just very impressive, and you see that your father has an oaken desk with very intricately carved designs into the panels. Each panel of the desk has the Peshek household crest carved into it. Your father's back is turned to you as he's in this extremely comfortable leather-bound chair, and he turns around. You see he's holding some paper, and he has a magnifying glass as he's reading the lines. Your father looks like an older version of you, except his hair is graying, face is more wrinkled, and his eyes, instead of your eye color, are kind of this steely gray. He looks up as you enter, and he gives you a smile. Oh, the wayward child returns.
Here I am.
Didn't even think of saying goodbye when you left.
Well, to be completely honest, I imagined I would have had some stops to send some letters and updates, but
But not
because
one.
it's not the first time. Yes, that one it's been a surprise. Been a unexpected journey, if you might say.
How did you do it? How did you... Last I, heard, you were not too far off from the Southern Isles, and then suddenly you were across the continent up in Norgarn. Have access? Did you hire a boat? Did you hire a caravan to travel on? You just... That distance to be covered in the time you've been gone is very impressive without some means of transportation of some sort.
That's a great question. I don't know. I take a look around. Are there any other chairs or seats that are...
Yeah, there's a not a swivelly chair like your father's, but there is another fairly nice, fairly comfortable wooden chair, with bound, leather, plushy seats that you could sit in.
I just walk over and just sit in it and ease kind of into it, relax. I also take a second look around. Do I see anyone, or is there anyone else in the room besides my father?
Not that you see.
And the door was closed after I came in?
Yep.
Okay. I take a look at my father, just kind of sizing him up and just kind of taking a mental picture of, his demeanor, all of that. And then I say, Father, what do you know of the Profane Guard?
Why do you ask?
Because you asked me how I got across the entire continent in such a short time. I will say it was not willing that I did that.
The Profane Guard? No concern. Just a small cult that every once in a while gets a little uppity. The winged ones put them in their place, and then we're on our way.
Insight check on, do I think he's telling everything he believes or knows about the Profane Guard?
Give me an insight check.
Ooh, that was good. Insight 21.
He's holding some information back. He's not telling you everything he knows.
Something I've learned, Father, in the past 4 or 5 months. Something I've sadly have learned was even those who are closest to us can be hard to trust and might not share everything that they know. I'm asking you what you know about them, Father, because they are the reason, first off, for my sudden disappearance, and might I say, for many a close call, if you will put that.
Cor Vit, I assure you, I'm telling you everything that you need to know. You're young. You have your entire future ahead of you. Don't concern yourself with these matters. Take your time, learn, get used to the political playing field, and the time's right, you'll learn how to deal with your enemies. But for now, don't be wasting your time gallivanting across the continent in a futile quest. I assure you that we have the situation of the Profane Guard under control. Now, with that, what have you been doing these past few months? Where are your friends? Tian, Rayla, Iona, where are they?
I was going to ask you if you knew.
Why would I know?
Because last I heard, as I mentioned, due to some plot or something that you say is something I shouldn't look into, I was sucked away, essentially, separated. And last I knew of them, though, I did see them. They were in Bronislav, or that's not Bronislav.
Erlgrad?
Erlgrad, thank you. And again, with the small, not to be trifled, just not to worry about cults, the Profane Guard is the cause of the another separation from them. Last I saw, they were missing. They were captured, I thought. But I heard Tian was here. In Astrahva.
Who told you that?
Captain Leodov.
Captain Leodov says he saw Tian, a man that he's never met before.
Well, that's what he told me. I'm wondering, how did you send the Seahawk to come get me, right? Up in Norgarn?
Yes.
Who did you send? And you sent the message to Captain Leodov, right?
That you were in Norgarn? No, he sent me. He used the teleport. Used the communication stone that I provided with him to communicate. I didn't know you were in Norgarn until he told me you were in Norgarn.
It's good to know. Apparently, you said Tian was the one who told him.
He must have been mistaken. Perhaps he obtained the knowledge, and it's possible he could have obtained the knowledge from Tian. But it was not me who told Tian to tell him. I would have provided the message in a more direct way. I like to keep tabs on my investments, which you're very well aware.
Yes, I do know that, and something you're very good at, Father. It was good to know that Captain Leodov probably was able to let you know I was safe about a week ago when he met up with me, so
Yes.
probably eased your mind.
He informed me when you arrived on his boat, and he informed me only a few hours ago that you were about to arrive here in Astrahva.
Thanks. Well, in that case, I don't know where my friends are. My
Shame.
companions.
Yes, your new companions are of interesting origins, to say the least. I've been able to find information on all except one of them.
And what do you think of them, Father?
I would need to meet them in person before I can make any final judgments. As you know, I would like, that's the best way to seal a deal is in person.
Fair enough, and I'm sure we will have that opportunity tonight.
Oh, we shall. At dinner, of course. But that mustn't keep you. Your mother and siblings are quite excited to meet you, and not to meet you, to see you again.
I haven't even thought of. If there's one thing I do regret, it is not letting her know sooner.
Mother
that
was
I was where I was.
It's been a long time since I've seen your mother as furious as she was when you disappeared. I assure you, I managed to smooth everything over, and everything will be moving forward according to plan.
Okay. Before I go, Father, one last question.
Of course.
What do you see in me? What am I worth to you?
You're the future of the Pashek dynasty.
But that's Tatiana. She's the heir.
For now.
And is that because I am dragon touched? I'm an Asimar.
You are... Cor Vit, don't get these foolish notions. You mean more to me than just the color of your eyes. Yeah, you're my son. But you are, I've done everything within my power to get you the best education that you possibly could get to protect you. And now you're coming at me like I'm the bad guy. Because I want what's best for you and what's best for our family?
Would you still see me the same even if I wasn't an Asimar?
But you are an Asimar. That is an unimportant and irrelevant question. You're trying my patience, boy.
And I will take your leave. And I hope you would see me the same as always.
I would hope that you would see me the same as always. Know that I have what's been for best for our family at heart. Nothing more, nothing less. See you at dinner in an hour. Then he turns
Stand up and
goes back. He goes back and resumes reading his paper, whatever he was reading.
I head on out, and as I do, I take a quick glance back at what he's reading. Can I see what he's reading, looking at?
A perception or perception check.
17.
So it is a little difficult to make out, but you do see at the bottom of the paper the seal of the Archmatriarch.
I head on out and close the door.
All right. So you all have about an hour to take your bath, change your clothes. Anyone have anything else that they want to do in that hour before we have our meal with the Pashek family?
It probably would be hard to find Red Scale again, huh? He
No?
probably left already.
You could probably Red Scale would still be in the house if you wanted to talk to him.
I want to ask if he was able to find anything out about Svetla's journal.
I'm afraid not, my lady. I hounded every member of the crew, but was unfortunately unable to find anything. I apologize. We will continue to search, but now that we've reached sea, it may be next to impossible to find that journal.
Everyone? Including the captain?
Including the captain. I conducted the search of his quarters myself.
And I used detect thoughts to see if he's lying.
Sure.
Is he?
Give me... So, a surface level thoughts say he's not, but you can give me an insight check with advantage.
Okay. All right. The first one's a 20. My insight's
Natural
not
20?
great. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a nat 20 on the die, and my insight is a 0.
Red Scale's not lying, and you can tell that he's pretty. He's probably he's a very honorable sailor, especially when compared to his captain.
Okay.
Anyone else have anything they want to do before you go have dinner?
I had literally just sent a message to our channel being like, did we ever find Svetla's journal? That was my plan until I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I don't know where that is.
I had actually kind of thought about trying to conduct a more thorough search ourselves before we got off the boat, but it's all right. We don't gotta retcon that. We're good. I will just be
Just in
more
case.
fuel on the fire when I
just in
find out who
case.
took it.
Just in case he falls for it, I rolled a 6.
Okay, he's definitely not falling for that.
It's fine. It's just when we find the journal and whoever took it, I'll just I'll kill them and eat them slower than I would have before.
Eat. That is wow.
All right.
We are
Okay.
That's for
backstory
the-
dump. She's a vampire.
I don't eat babies. I eat full-grown adults.
Oh,
Okay?
you let them, get limber.
Raise them.
Okay. Anything else? We're gonna go sleep. We're gonna go eat dinner.
Yeah,
Yes,
normal dinner though.
I guess so.
Okay. So you make your way down to the dining hall, where you see a lavish feast is laid before you. I am not my brother, so I will not describe it in great detail. But it's very nice feast. Probably very similar to what you had in Norgarn, except with different spices, since this is the Southern Isles, and so you have some different things. And this very much reminds Cor Vit of home. When you enter in, you of course see the you see Cor Vit's father, which I've already described, but you also see sitting on his right, you see another older woman, Cor Vit's mother, whose name is Ariadna Pashek. There is a middle name there, but there's no way in heck I'm pronouncing that. It's like
Pretty great.
if
Patrick,
Praxia.
Is this just a complete name generator?
Cor Vit came up with all these names. It's like Praxia. That's how it's said. Praxia.
Apraxia? I feel like that's a
Ev.
medical condition.
Definitely sounds like some medicine. And then to Conrad, that's his father's name. To Conrad's left is another woman, Cor Vit's older sister, Tatiana Marina Peshek. And then next to, Cor Vit is sat next to his mother on his mother's right. To the left of Tatiana is Cor Vit's younger brother, Vitalik Vissarion Peshek.
Wait a sec.
Not Vitali, Vitalik.
Okay. I was about to be like, we got the same brothers' names. Okay.
It was close after you
pretty
did that. I
close.
was like, oh dang, that's sticking with my brother's name, but that's close. Which is funny. My youngest sister now is.
Yeah.
And then next to Cor Vit is his youngest sister, Agniya, spelled Agniya, Monica Pishek.
Anya, not to be confused with Anya.
Yeah, it's exactly. Yep, that's what I thought.
Not my
was funny.
name. That's just what I told you.
So, Antivin is sat to the left of, not to the left of, to the left of Vitalik, and then Jelania, you are sitting next to Anya. Then Piotr, you're sitting next to Antivin, and Galina, you're sitting next to Jelania. So, servants come in and begin serving food, and Conrad looks at Cor Vit. The wayward son is back. Perhaps the wayward son would care to say the prayer over the food?
Sure. I was gonna go give. Before that happens, when I walk in, I wanted to go give my mother a hug.
Okay. Yeah, so you do hug and greet all your siblings.
Well, so Tatiana, it's more of a just like a. How you? Good to see you. You're alive. You're alive. Okay, good. Keep at it. Type of a thing. Vitalik, it's more just like a kind of just like hey guy, hey dude. It's like stay out of trouble or don't. I don't care. And then I go to my youngest sister Anya and give her just a big hug and just be like, hey, I got some tricks and stuff to show you later. Just whisper that to her, be like, hey, like, sorry I was gone for so long.
She looks very excited.
Yeah. Anyway, so with that being said, how do I pray in Patrick's religion?
I mean, you don't have to actually say a prayer.
Okay, in that case, I won't. So
I expect full Latin verses right now.
I'm like,
I mean,
there's praise the sun and the dragon
Sorry,
goddess.
Yeah.
Slip in some phrases about Eladin and spears.
Don't do that.
May the no, I won't do that. But just I'll say a quick prayer about Sulhana and the faith that she will watch over us.
All right. So you go and you say your prayer, and you are happy to dig into the first course of your meal. And Conrad looks around. He looks at Antivin, and he says, "So, Antivin Nikolaev, I recognize your name. You are the fiancé of Idina, up in the heir to the Boyar of Norgarn. Is that correct?" Antivin nods. Yes, that's true. Oh, okay. Well, congratulations. You'll be marrying into a very prestigious family, and we expect a lot from that union. We've heard good things about the Nikolaevs down south in the Southern Isles. He then turns and looks at Jelanya. Miss Katenka, it is a pleasure to have you here in our household. Well, but I'm curious. How did you happen to meet my son?
Just by happenstance on the road. It was a bit of an accident. We just kind of suddenly were in the same place. Struck up a conversation.
Didn't kill each other.
Yeah.
Then what is one of your noble status doing on the road? Or you, perhaps?
I'm not the heir to anything, so I can kind of do what I wish if things are stable, and also go where I am needed when things are not. So it's a bit of both.
He looks at Vitalik. Much like my youngest son, Vitalik. Vitalik has recently taken up some adventuring of his own. He's just recently returned from dealing with a nest of goblins that were harassing some of the southern villages.
I lean over at that. I'm like, you did what?
It wasn't as big of a deal, Vitalik says. As father's making it seem, there was just this group of goblins that was harassing a fishing village that we did business with. It was disrupting the trade. I went and took care of them, with a few other people. It wasn't that big of a deal. It just, don't be modest, Vitalik, Conrad says. It was a tremendous deal. Goblins are no threat on their own. It's only when their population booms and expands to an uncontrollable size. We do not have to worry about now. We don't have to worry about that. The fishing villages are safe. He then looks at Piotr. So, I'm afraid that there was very little information on you, however.
Oh, I wonder why. I exist, I guess. I don't know.
Well, what is your name?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm Pyotr Isakov.
Just realized that's such a bad idea to say your real name.
Oh, rip.
It's too late. Conrad knows. Oh, yes.
A bad idea. You're so wanted right now.
You were a diplomat in Vinhelm, were you not?
Crap. Yeah.
I would like to point out that I did shoot Ian a reminder text that he was supposed to be using a fake name earlier today. So he's brought this upon himself.
I brought this upon the whole party.
And Galena, who shares a room with him.
Oh, okay.
But no. Oh, yes, you were a diplomat in
dive
Vinhelm.
into it. Yes. At one time.
What caused you to leave?
Funny you should ask. I, along with a few of my companions, woke up and a cave one day. Long story short, we've got a divine errand that we're on, and by the gods, we are going to bring it to pass. Why can I not English right now?
When he says that we woke up in the cave, it means that we all just happened to go to the same tavern on the road, and it was called the Dingy Cave.
Yes.
Over in that little town, Ermog, it was.
It's quite a rager.
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
A divine
yes.
errand.
Yes.
I'm
Sorry,
trusting
I
this
speak
divine
in
errand.
riddles a lot.
Now you have to speak in riddles for the rest of the time you're here. Ah.
How old are you, Piotr? Well, if you took the square root of 400 and then...
Ah. Well then. Then turns to Galena. You, Galena. Galena Laskin. The last record that could be found of you was your graduation from the School of Sorcery in Belgrade. 200 years ago. Give or take. Where have you been in that time?
Just somewhere outside of Silvari.
You've been conducting any interesting magical research?
Some, here and there.
I hope you'll forgive me for the invasion of privacy, but I do like to know who my son is hanging around with. I did some investigation into your parents as well, who of course were also academy graduates. They had quite some interesting research. If you'd care, I'd be interested in discussing that with you. It has some interesting applications.
Oh, yes, that could be interesting.
Good. I hope that your parents would, clue you into what they were looking at. Did they not?
Oh, well, my father passed away.
Yes, I'd heard that. I'm very, very sorry.
Yes. Before I graduated, so...
That's why I was unaware of. The records of 200 years ago are sometimes a little hazy on those types of details. The church wasn't as diligent about keeping track of birth and death dates as they are now. So I am sorry to hear that your father passed away. It's not right that a child should grow up without both their parents. Oh, but forgive me, I've been talking your ear off. I'm sure you all want to enjoy your meal, and maybe you all have questions that you'd like to ask me. I'm assuming that you all be coming to the wedding.
Well, that is my attention. Look over at Anya and be like, I am the best man, of course.
I see Arkadi managed to get a hold of you. Excellent.
Ran into him up north. So, and I was just shocked that it finally happened, or happened so fast, actually.
The Tsar and I had been speaking about it for quite some time. It just took a few years to finalize all the fine details of the marriage and all the things. I managed to loosen some of the taxes that are placed on the Southern Isles as part of the arrangement. Very, very pleased.
I look over at how does Anya look when talking about her getting married to
Anya looks
Arkadi?
very, very happy to be getting married.
Okay. I was like,
She's like, she's like, when she's not listening to your father. She's sitting there and chatting up your sister up, Tatiana, about wedding details. Tatiana, of course, looks extremely bored and like she could care way less about what Anya's talking about than she is, but she's at least putting on the big sister act of, yeah, that's great, sweetie, yeah. But she does look like she's happy to be getting married. Yeah, so is there anything in specific that you all want to talk to members of Cor Vit's family about?
I'm scared to say anything around his dad. So no.
Piotr is having the weight of his 2 slips bear down on him, so he's just like retreating within himself.
Actually, I think it might be like that. So Jelani would probably ask about like who all is in town for the wedding, like, you know, which of the boyars have come to, you know, witness the event. Anyone else?
All the boyars have come to the event. It is the wedding of the Tsarevich. It would be the only one we're still waiting on is the arrival of the boyar of Norgarn. We had been hoping that Alifir's son would show up at some point around the same time you did, but we've yet to hear word. As of course, he does have to put his realm back in order after that whole Norsean invasion thing.
Very small. It shouldn't take long.
Yes, it shouldn't take too long at all. But if he is not here, then he said that he would at least send his daughter to represent his family. But even if he is able to come himself, Adina will still, of course, be attending. And he turns and looks to Antivin. I'm sure that you are quite happy to hear that your betrothed will be at this wedding. Antivin goes, yes, quite pleased to hear that information. Yes, it's been too long since I saw Adina. No, but I assure you that the festivities will be bigger than any festivities that the Empire has seen in quite a long time. The wealth of the Southern Isles, combined with the prestige of the Alkaev household. This will be a wonderful. Everyone will have reason to celebrate. We've even gone so far as to extend the celebrations to the common folk, and we're going to have. There's going to be a fair and festivals taking place in the city and the surrounding villages.
Well, that's exciting.
Yes, it's quite exciting. We are very happy, very excited. It is the Tsar's lone heir getting married and continuing the Alkaev bloodline to continue the divine protection that is afforded to our empire through his holy bloodline. It's quite a good. It's very good. It is a momentous occasion to be celebrated. Some people think it should have happened sooner, but we needed to wait for Anya, of course, to be of marrying age. We couldn't just marry her off when she was too young. As well as Arkadi had to complete his Winged One training, all those things. But it's been taking place. Everything's been ironed out. At this point, we just look forward to all your presences.
It'd be a wonderful event.
I'm glad that you think so. Tell me, do you have intentions? Are you betrothed? I'm sure that it's your brother who's in charge of Cordovin at this point. Has he arranged anyone for you to be married to, solidify some alliances, particularly after the unfortunate circumstances with the rest of your family?
As far as I know, no one currently. I was only with my brother for a short time before I was traveling again, and before that, of course, I was presumed dead and missing, so I would imagine there's not been time.
Of course.
And as far as I heard, there was nothing really solid that was worked out before everything happened. So,
well, perhaps I should send a letter to your brother. You do happen to have 2 very eligible sons.
Let's celebrate. This is for Anya and Arkadi. More drinks, please. We gotta celebrate. I am trying my best to get my father drunk as possible.
all right, we're doing it round 2.
Doing
Ready?
a round 2. With that, I call in, Father, what is I'm sure you're saving the best for the wedding, but what's the second best you got that I can spare right now? I am back.
Avarovian
Good drink.
Avarovian red wine. We have some of that on tap. But I have some additional business arrangements I need to take care of this evening. I can't be too drunk for that.
That's all right. I mean, don't you always want to just show off how much you can and hold your compared to your
No, I
Fun.
appreciate the celebration. Of course we are celebrating the return of Cor Vit, but I do need to be able to keep my wits about me for what I have planned this evening.
Fine, don't bring the good stuff then.
Jelania, you do notice that Antivin's fists have kind of like clenched, and he's just kind of like he gives two glances at Vitalik and Cor Vit, but it doesn't say anything. But you have noticed that Vitalik is now eyeing you, looking you up and down.
Okay.
So,
If I notice that, I am going to walk over and give him a slap behind the head.
you're gonna do that at the dinner table?
Oh, I don't care. Yeah.
He's
I will
trying to
stand
be.
up.
He is trying to be discreet about it, so he's not being overly
Okay.
noticeable and creepy about it. He's just looking at her.
In that case, wait, I gotta see if do I need to verbally do this? Okay, I whisper under my breath and pull out of my pocket a small bit of fleece, and in his ear there is a small whisper that says, "Knock it off."
And,
I use minor illusion to do that.
he jumps and he looks around. And he looks at you. And he looks around. And sits back down and goes back to eating his food. Yeah. So you continue.
Do any of us notice that? The casting of magic at the table? I only have a passive perception of 10, so it's okay if you say no.
No, not in this instance. It was just a very, very minor illusion. So you all. So you all continue your meal. Is anything else that you all want to do tonight?
No. I'll think of something. My instinct was something that I've lost, so.
So as you're wrapping up the meal, the boyar looks at all of you, Conrad, and he says, so as you all might be aware, there's the Crescent Amphitheater in town. I happen to have tickets to the, tickets for tomorrow to go see the Maiden of Sun Hollow that is currently playing in the Crescent Amphitheater. I unfortunately will not be able to attend myself, and I was curious if perhaps I could give the 5 of you, tickets to go see with my family. Go see it with the rest of my family.
I think we'd be honored.
Excellent. Then I will make sure to procure the extra tickets, and you'll be in the best balcony seating as possible. There's these.
You said balcony. Now
Piotr has urges.
That's foreshadowing.
He said they have to have they made these wonderful seeing glasses that lets you put them up and it zooms in on the actor. You could zoom and see the sweat dripping from the actors' faces if you really wanted to. I wouldn't recommend it, of course, as there's other things going on in the show that you should watch, but it's wonderful, the marvels of magic. It's a shame that it's so restricted at times, but of course we understand, the magic is made to serve man, not to rule over them. So we must understand why the stance is so strict. But I, of course, will let you be. He looks at Galena. I will be available at some point tomorrow. If you just let my steward know, Fredo, he will be able to set up a time, and perhaps we can talk about your parents' research.
Yes, that would be lovely.
Excellent. I will take my leave, and the rest of you, bid a very good night. He turns. He walks out. His wife on his heels, and the rest of Cor Vit's siblings just kind of sitting there, chatting with each other. With the exception of Tatiana, who hasn't touched a single morsel on her plate, just kind of looking down.
The food not to your liking?
Food is fine. Got a lot on my mind currently.
Well, I don't like to pry, so unless you care to offer,
And I don't care.
I guess it will
if you
stay.
don't mind.
It's all right.
Well, it's been nice to see everyone, and we are tired from our journeys, so I think we'll retire. I will. And with that, I go over to Tatiana though, and ask her just quietly, when can we talk?
She looks up at you. You want to talk?
Yes.
We can talk tomorrow. There's plenty of time. You're not going anywhere, I assume.
Hopefully not.
I would get your rest that you so desperately need for having gallivanted across the whole countryside and then coming back and being welcomed with open arms like this.
I didn't ask for it.
Sure you didn't. She stands up and walks out of the dining hall. Vitalik comes up and puts a hand on your shoulder. Maybe just let her chill a little bit. She's she's a little sour that despite the fact that you've been she said, gallivanting across the country, that you're still Dad's favorite. And when she stayed home like a good daughter, doing what she was supposed to do.
I don't blame her at all.
Also,
And since when did you get so? Oh,
is there no so Anya is the youngest, but she is being married first. The rest of you just kind of left to it.
The Tatiana would have normally, of course, have been set up as first in line, save for the fact that she is the heir to the kingdom and is not the kingdom, the boyar in the region.
Right. So there is no one who wants to marry into that?
Oh no, there's many suitors. My father just has to find the one that's acceptable. But the problem being that obviously he really was determined on getting this alliance between the Alkayev family and the Pashek family. The with Tatiana being the heir, heirs generally don't marry each other. You gotta find the spare for them to marry.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just there hasn't been one. Our father is you can tell, a business-minded man. There hasn't been an alliance that has been to his liking and his convenience yet, but he couldn't pass up on the opportunity to get Anya married off to the side of each. I feel sad. I feel sorry for her, but hopefully things will change and she'll be able to get her. She'll find someone soon.
Sure.
so
The rest of you will be forever alone. So sad.
at that, Cor Vit remembers the talk with Bronislav, and just almost flinches. Just well, we shall see. But he turns to Vitalik, and says, "When the heck did you start getting so wise, little brother?"
I don't know. Someone had to do it. You weren't here.
I don't know if I'm wise or just lucky I'm not dead yet. Which definitely it's that latter one.
Yeah, I wouldn't call myself wise. Just you haven't been here for a few months. I happen to know what's going on, and you don't.
Yeah.
So if I were you, I wouldn't be here just sticking my nose into everything, trying to make everything right. Anything, you'll only make it worse. You know how Dad is. He's got plans for everyone and everything.
Yeah.
But
Thank you.
We should talk, Cor Vit. Get some brotherly bonding time. I have some things I'd like to talk to you about.
So many, everyone. Sure. When? Now?
Right now. I mean, you wanted to get drunk. I'm okay getting to get drunk. Let's go do it.
Sure, I need a drink.
I
So.
happen to know where Dad's keeping that Avarovian red.
Lead the way.
Cor Vit, before you leave, I've been meaning to give you this book for like a month and a half. And I need to give it to you now before I forget again. Okay?
Hey.
I'll
So-
pass over Endless that I said I was going to give to him for like forever ago back in Cordova and never did.
I don't even remember what that book is.
There's a poetry about the sun and the moon, right? Something like
yeah.
Is it poetry or just a story?
Yeah,
about
they're
the sun and the moon?
poems in Celestial. Yep.
I remember that now. All right.
Good book. Sad book.
Hold on, wait. Thank you, Shalanya.
Before we have some brotherly bonding time, Piotr, Galina, you wanna anything you wanna do?
Piotr is nervous at this point, and he's like constantly looking around himself, trying to make sure that there's not some shady dude with a dagger around a corner or whatever. Anybody with a dragnet, whatever the heck people
Give me a wisdom
deploy.
saving throw.
What? Ah, where is Galina?
No, Galina's there. You can see Galina. At least right now.
Something else happened.
Oh no.
Ba-ba-da-da-da. 21.
Nothing happens.
Do I sense anything?
Nope.
Can I, like, since he was already, like, tweaking or whatever, can I roll a perception check to see if I notice anything?
Sure. At disadvantage because you're paranoid.
Gosh dang it. Oh, I just rolled a 2.
Okay, roll it. You still have disadvantage, so roll to see if you get in that one.
I know. Okay, 2 it was. So
You don't see anything besides Galina looking at you like you're a crazy person.
what if that went up to a 5?
Still Galina looking at you like you're a crazy person.
Do you feel like you're being watched, or like I'm being watched? Because I don't.
You are being watched. I'm watching you. How much have you had to drink?
Tonight, nothing, 0. I've had some water. Maybe they poisoned me. I don't know. I don't. It's. I let my name slip. I'm not being incognito at all. I don't know what's wrong with me today, and now I don't really trust Cor Vit's dad. He's kind of a weird dude. How did he know everything about everybody except me somehow? I'm confused, and I'm worried. I'm worried, Galina.
And why have you been walking around telling everybody your name and not changing your appearance?
See that was only one slip. I don't know why I did that. Shouldn't have done it. Shouldn't have done it. So what I'm gonna do though, you bring up a good point. I'm gonna go change into something less conspicuous.
Feel like this is closing the cage after the animal has already escaped, but
Yeah, you know what? Good point. But I don't know what to do. What? I don't. It's fine. You know what? If I'm dead, I'm already dead. And if I'm not, then I don't need to worry. So either way, I don't need to worry, right? That's rational.
I don't think that's how bounty hunters work. It's they find you eventually. It's not like the second they take the contract, they find you and you're dead. Takes some time.
Very valid, Anya, who I did not realize was here.
You
Hello?
haven't left. We are all
I don't
here.
know. In my brain, it was me and Galena. I don't know why.
Because in my brain, it also is you and Galena.
Oh, sorry. I knew you can ignore me, but nobody said they left.
That's fair.
No,
That's a
that's
valid
valid. That's valid.
I figured I had left with my brother because we were gonna go find the good stuff.
Some alcohol.
Yeah.
I'll leave. Bye.
No, it's fine. Please stay. Please stay. Please stay. I was just listen. I didn't mean to insult you. It's just I'm sure you've heard my spiel. I'm a little worried. Was all.
I think you're right to be worried.
And have you ever had a situation kind of like this where like the cat was out of the bag, so to speak, or the animal was already out of the cage, and like your brain is just trying to wrap its mind around the situation and trying to figure out how to go back in time and fix it? So that's what my brain's doing right now. So I apologize for not recognizing your presence, Anya.
Fine.
For not. Anyway, I don't know what I'm saying.
I understand.
I
You
just-
have to be looking at Galena all the time. Your peripherals get a little bit out of whack. It's fine. It's okay.
It's difficult. But yeah, I'll figure it out, or I'll die, or both. I don't know. So how are you, Anya?
Are we talking about this right now? We're still in the dining room.
Oh yeah,
We're going to
crap.
talk about things. We're not going to do it in here.
Good question. We should leave.
He did keep trying to talk about sensitive subjects in front of all the sailors.
Yep. Sounds right.
He has to look at you, Galena, and you're too pretty. It makes his eyes go wonky, his brain go all funny. It happens.
Yep, let's do that. Let's go with that. Totally not my fault.
See, whenever he talks, I get the opposite impression. I'm starting to get a little insulted. I mean, I've been in a tower for 200 years, so I'm not 100% sure. But based on my last 3, 5, I don't know, however long I've been wandering around, I don't think I'm all that unattractive. But
The only thing I would say is your clothes are a little out of date. That's all. Otherwise, you're very attractive. Yes.
Let's not wardrobe shame our friend here.
I'm not wardrobe shaming. I'm just stating a fact. If she wants to know where she falls in a general state of attractiveness, she's very beautiful, but her clothes are very different than most other people. So it's a little surprise. Not a bad one.
Galena, it's not
you
personal.
protest a lot whenever people try to say we're together. A lot. Almost too much. It might be the other way.
Thanks.
I just overthink things as part of my problem, and
But you didn't overthink the fact that you just gave them your real name.
but that's different. It's like, oh yeah, my name's the thing that I said earlier, and that's just a knee-jerk response kind of thing. But it's not every day that you have. I don't know. I don't know where this monologue or whatever is going. I don't know. To put as neat of a bow on it as I'm going to be able to tie with my hands, proverbial hands, the way they are currently, I promise you that I don't mean these things as a slight. I just recognize. I don't know. I've never pretended to be in a relationship with somebody, and as far as I'm concerned, you and I have a, I don't know, I guess you could say in some strange form or meaning of the word, a professional relationship, and I don't want to betray that.
Here, let me translate. Mordvirians are prudes. If they have feelings or attraction to you, they will hide it deep down for a decade before they will say anything to you.
Aunt looks at you. I thought you were dead, to be fair.
There were at least like 6 of those years where I wasn't dead.
Antivin looks at Piotr. I feel like we're not wanted here anymore.
Should I turn them both into toads?
Oh no, I want to keep mine.
Actually, that might work. That might solve our. Well,
I'd rather not
if
be
you
a toad.
if you turn me into a toad, that might fix literally all of our issues.
How would that solve anything, Piotr?
Because nobody's look. Can we go outside?
Sure.
I feel like once the topic of like that kind of relationship comes up, we're in a place where no one's really listening to us.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Let's just.
Let's go somewhere.
Say that you are
waving.
walking on your way towards the your rooms.
Nobody's looking for a toad. Does that make sense?
Maybe a hawk.
See, but we can deal with a hawk.
It would be
Toads can't.
a little strange for you to suddenly disappear in the Boyar's house.
That's true. Maybe we hold off on the transfiguration or whatever, anamorphization.
Transfiguration was probably the correct word to use.
Maybe we hold off on that. But I think it's a good arrow to keep in the quiver, so to speak.
I think it's probably now an extra good thing that you have a person to share your room with that can notice if someone is trying to kill you in your sleep. Maybe we should all share a room so that you will have extra eyes.
I'm fine with that.
Rooms aren't that accommodating. They're accommodating, sure.
We're just like sleeping in like these rectangle, like
It's
head
a
here,
king
feet
bed.
here, head here, feet here.
It's a
It's a
king bed.
slumber
That
party.
can fit like 4 people. I can sleep on the floor. That's fine. No, it's okay. You guys have fun by yourselves. Just don't die in the middle of the night, okay?
You're totally welcome to come have a giant party in my room.
How honest does that come across? How truthful does that come across?
Well, you know, alone with Piotr or more friends. On the other hand, I'm not used to sleeping with anybody but Luchik in my room. You don't snore, do you?
I don't know.
I don't know. Antivin looks at you a little bit.
Exposed.
It's not that bad. It's kind of relaxing to a degree to have some other noise going on besides silence when you're trying to sleep.
You're very nice to me. I don't snore anymore. That's over. Well, as fun as this conversation is, I think I'm just going to go on a walk out in the city, probably.
Would you like some
Okay.
company?
If you want to.
I'd be more than happy to.
I was going to go as not me.
I have some clothes I can change into.
Okay.
Antivin looks at the other two, and that I bid you good night.
Good night. Have fun.
Don't get eaten by a mimic or whatever.
If that ship comes back out of the docks, I swear. I don't even know.
Cor Vit, I'm gonna jump over to you and your brother real quick. So your brother takes you down into the wine cellar, and he reaches up and he pulls out a bottle of red wine. And he takes 2 cups and he pours some in each cup and hands 1 cup to you. To your health, my brother, and your safe return.
Grab it, swirl it around, and wait
What are you
for
waiting
him to take a drink out of his cup.
Oh.
You gotta take a swig as well.
Of course. Do you really think I'd be trying to poison you, brother?
I would hope not, sincerely.
What has happened to you in these past few months?
A lot.
Well, takes a swig and looks at you.
I take a drink as well then.
Pours some more in each of your glasses.
What did
So-
you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, it is a little odd. You know, your friend was right. It is a little odd that that our little sister is the first one getting married, isn't it?
Sometimes. But father, you know him, he's just gotta have the perfect situation for him. And
Yeah.
with me, he feels like almost nobody or no situation was good enough for what he could get with me.
Yeah. You did seem very interested in your friend, Jelania.
Mm-hmm.
That was her name, right?
That's correct.
Well, my understanding is that he wants to marry you off to a human, so that way you can possibly have some more ASMR children, but I don't necessarily have to get married to a human. I can get married to, you know, find horns and a tail a little attractive. What do you think of the likelihood of that arrangement?
It'd be interesting, but no.
Why not?
She wouldn't be a good fit for either of us.
It's a shame. It's also a shame that your friend Galena's an elf. Half-elf, so, you know, being sterile and all. She'd probably make another good match for one of us, but, you know, father, he wants to continue the bloodline. So,
True. But what are all of your prospects? You've been always popular.
I
All
mean,
the
you know,
confined-
Dad, you know, anytime I show any slight interest in anyone, he has to do his digging, his investigation.
background checks, all of his spies and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. And if they don't meet his standards, which is why when I saw a woman that you know, he approved of, I figured, you know, see how it goes. You know. But,
Right. Find another one that he approves of. Trust me.
You wouldn't be looking for this girl for yourself, would you?
Maybe at one point.
Well, if you're no longer looking at her, then I don't see what's an issue.
There's just some things that she wants, and she's gonna go get them.
I'm a go-getter. I can help get. whatever she wants, I can help her.
That's all right.
Look,
She probably won't need it anymore.
unless you're gonna give me a real reason, I'm gonna suggest to Dad. I am getting a little sick and tired of having to bow down to his mighty one, his mightiness with the golden eyes.
Talking about me?
Who else would I be talking about?
Some other ASMR that Dad happened to know about and just kept it from all of us.
What are you talking about?
I don't even know. But, have you seen Tian?
Not since he left with you.
No, bummer. Looking for him, but
I'm sure, it seems that people who are around you get in a little bit of trouble.
that's all it seems to be these days. Just put those around me in trouble. Get those I care about, those close to me, in some rough moments.
Right. I'm sorry, you just got home. I'm sure you've been through a lot. I didn't mean to be mean or rude. We are glad to have you back, Cor Vit. But we did have to adjust to life without you. Even if Father didn't. I always had faith that you'd come back. The rest of us weren't so certain.
Well, that's one thing he has. Faith in his dragon touched.
If only his faith was in the right things.
Could you imagine what it'd be like if I lost that?
I wouldn't go about losing that. Can you even lose that? It's not something you can lose. Your dragon touch forever, right?
It's from the goddess and the saints, right?
Yeah.
We believe they have all this power. They could surely take it away.
You would probably have to do something that really pisses them off.
Something like that, I'm sure. But you know what, young brother? Not so young anymore. Gosh, you going off to slay goblins and being a hero and all that. Shoot your shot. Do whatever. Do what you feel you want to do. And do good. That's all you should do.
You mean that, don't you?
Do it your way. Don't go looking to hurt people, but do good. But do what you want.
Alright then. Thanks. You must be tired from your journey. Should probably let you go get some sleep.
Thank you.
We're going to take our 5-minute break. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. Thanks for coming out and watching. And yeah, stick around. See what else is going to happen tonight. Well, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for sticking around. We are going to pick up right where we left off. So the first thing we're going to do... So, Cor Vit, you said you had some things you wanted to do right before you went to bed.
Yes, I gotta just look one thing up real fast. See if I can use it or not. Oh, okay, never mind. All right, so what I am doing is, do I know how late does my father usually stay up? Do I happen to know that?
However late his business demands.
Okay. Is there any place outside of the study that's kind of... Because I'm assuming he's in a study, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any place outside of it that I can like kind of hide? Is there like an alcove that I can just sit and wait?
I mean, there would be... So, like, you're looking for something outside his study. Like,
yes.
If I'm understanding, like, you're talking about, like, hiding outside the study, waiting for him to leave, just so I can understand.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you could probably, you could probably hide either, somewhere, in the hallways along, leading up to the study. I
Okay.
will need a stealth check from you.
That's right. Actually, before that happens,
Okay.
let's see how long this. Okay. Yeah. Before that happens, how do I see anyone outside of his study? Is there anyone like guarding the area?
No one outside the study.
I just want to walk up to the study and just listen to see if he's in there, if I can hear any muffled noises or anything.
Just give me a perception check.
Ooh. Not good.
Failure.
6.
Yeah, you don't hear anything going on inside the study.
All right. I am going to, in that case, just wait outside. Again, try and hide nearby and just listen for when he's leaving.
Okay, give me your stealth check.
Bit better. 11.
All right. So as you're sitting out with trying to hide outside the study, you eventually see Fredo walking around the halls. He walks past your hiding spot and he glances in. Master Cor Vit, can I help you? You wish to speak with your father?
Not currently. I wish to let him finish his business first, and then I will speak with him when he is exiting.
Well, he's currently not in the study. His business conducted elsewhere. It's actually up in the Ashen Palace.
That makes so much more sense now. I couldn't hear anything and didn't want to disturb him because sometimes, as you might know, when he is engaged in certain things, he does not like being disturbed.
Certainly, yes, of course.
So.
He's currently not here. I apologize
all
for
right.
any confusion.
Oh, that's fine. I will. I appreciate it. That means I can go to bed sooner.
Of course.
I will head towards my room.
Okay. Fredo will follow you.
And I will go into my room.
Okay. Fredo will. It's Fredo. You go into your room, and Fredo does not follow you into your room.
I was gonna ask, does he? When I open the door and walk in, is he right outside my door?
He stops. He's way outside your door. He stops and waits for you to go inside.
Okay. So when I'm in the door, he can't see me, right?
Yes.
I cast invisibility on myself.
Okay.
With that, and I step back outside and close the door.
Okay. He keeps going on his way.
Okay. I go back to the study. Invisible this time.
Okay. All right.
And with that, I try the door.
It is locked.
Gently. And with that said, I cast Dimension Door in 3 feet to the other side of the door.
So Dimension Door. Let me read Dimension Door.
It's you teleport yourself from your current location to any spot within range. You revive it at exactly the spot desired. It can be a place you see, one you can visualize, or one you can describe by stating distance and direction. So forward, past the door, 3 feet.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, I'm sure you could also visualize the interior as well, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
You're not invisible anymore, right?
You would not be invisible because
That's not invisibility is a concentration. Dimension Door is not, right?
But invisibility gets canceled when you do something other than be invisible.
That's right. Yeah.
Good luck, my friend.
All
Yep.
right.
I go in.
All right.
Crap!
Animal
I
is
forgot
out of the
about
cage
this.
now.
You teleport across. So you watch as this kind of shimmering, like almost it looks like a kind of a water, shimmering water appears before you. You step into it, and then when you appear on the other side, you are in your father's study. The moment you set foot in your father's study, there is a loud cacophony, like the sound of bells that's just going off across the entire estate.
Oh, dang it.
We're all gonna die.
I look around the study real fast. What's around there?
I mean, there's your father's. There's all the bookcases, your father's desk, things like that. You can give me a perception check. Notice if you notice anything else.
Yes. Nah, I don't. 4. Man,
You don't notice anything
the
else.
last few rolls are awful. Okay. I am going to sit down in his leather spinning chair
Okay.
and just wait for whoever's supposed to come up.
Yeah. So you hear a lock fumbling at the door. Then you notice as the key turns, you see that the door kind of shimmers this blue light. It kind of fades out immediately. The door opens and Fredo and 2 guards charge into the room and look at you sitting at the chair. Fredo looks
Took
around.
you long enough.
Master Cor Vit,
Yes.
how did you get in here?
With some help. A little bit of,
Help?
just gesture to my eyes.
You realize you should not be in here by yourself.
That I probably should know. However, it is my wish to see how my father protects the things that are sensitive to the Southern Isles.
Sure, your father would be more than happy to talk about that with you. You don't have to be resorting to using your powers to get places. Fredo looks around.
I haven't touched a thing. You can check me. All of me, I haven't touched or opened or looked at anything. I know that he would probably even get mad at me about for.
Yes. You don't mind, Master Cor Vit, we will escort you back to your room now.
That's totally fine with me. But when you, as I'm sure you're going to let my father know about this, let him know I really want to hear what it is we talked about sooner. He will know. He'll know what that means.
Fredo looks at you. I don't believe that it is necessary to inform your father of this. Say, if you promise that it shall not happen again.
Fredo, my good friend, I think, I do apologize if this would have gotten you into any sort of trouble. That was not my intent.
Yes, well, I'll just have to simply reactivate all the wards and everything in the room, but...
However, are you the one that set all this up?
Yes.
It's incredible. You are a great arcane wielder, it would seem. No wonder my father likes you.
Yes, I come from Avidor. We are much less restrictive in who and can use magic and why over in Avidor.
If only there was some of that here.
Perhaps. There is some benefit to your system. At least those who wield the most power don't, those who wield the most arcane power don't use it as a sledgehammer against those below them. Here, at least,
That is true.
your arcane magic users just treat for the most part, treat everyone as equals.
I agree. Did not realize the differences that we had, so... Thank you, I will leave it to you, and...
Well, you trust that you will be alright with the guards escorting you back to your room and then staying outside your door?
Absolutely. I understand.
Very well. And that's what they do. They escort you back to your room and they stand outside your door.
Yeah. Dang it.
Before we go
1 hour later. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Get those spell slots back, boy.
Yeah.
Before we go to Antivin and Jelania, Galina and Piotr, are there anything that you guys want to do for the night?
Piotr's just supposed to go to bed.
Okay, and you are welcome to go to bed. Galina, anything you want to do?
It just summons Luchik. And then are there books in her bedroom?
Sure. Yes, there are books in your bedroom.
She's going to precariously pile a small pile of them in front of the door and in front of any windows.
Very wise plan. Very smart. All right. You do that. Very smart.
And then she goes to bed.
Okay. Shalanya, Antivin, you make your way towards the exit, and when you do, you see guards. They're standing there, and they stop you as you approach. Afraid we can't let you out tonight. Curfew is in place.
What? Why is there a curfew?
The Ashen Hunter, one of the guards, nudges him in the other guard who said that. Not supposed to call it that, he says. I'm sorry. Officially, there's been a string of murders over in the lower docks. For the safety of all citizens, if there's a curfew in place, everyone is expected to be back in their bed at this time of night.
I'm quite sure that we are capable of fending off any sort of murderer that we would encounter.
I don't doubt you, my lady, but we have our orders. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to let anyone out. I'm sure that you are more than welcome to explore the city in the morning.
Fine.
Turn around and head back, and Antivin looks at you. I'm sorry, but you were looking forward to going to go see what was out there beyond the, frozen north.
I don't get to see much. I don't. After Svetla died, I was talking to our former companion Drith about what he would do to feel better, more at peace. He would talk about going out into the wilderness, out into nature. No, that's not something that appeals to me at all. I think just being in the midst of a lot of people, but not being watched, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I do have to personally agree with your friend Drith, though. There's nothing quite as peaceful and relaxing as being out in nature, but to each their own.
In nature, there's always something trying to kill you.
And
In a city, not always.
you just heard them talking about this Ashen Hunter.
I am an Ashen Hunter.
You might
Just
not
because
want to let
someone
them
has
hear
a cool
you.
name. I'm gray like Ash and I kill things sometimes. I am an Ashen Hunter. If something has a fun name, it probably is because this takes itself a little too seriously.
That's fair.
Not worried about it.
So, the fact that everyone up in Norgarn calls you Dragon Slayer, do you take yourself a little bit too seriously, Dragon Slayer?
I don't call myself that. They decided to call me that.
Well, that's fair. I'm gonna have everyone calling you Dragon Slayer before we leave.
Why would you do that? Want people to not notice me.
Oh, maybe just around the estate then. Come on,
That's still too many people.
you did something pretty amazing. You killed a dragon. You don't want to be proud of that?
Don't see it as a big accomplishment. There were a lot of other people fighting it, and it needed to be done. It's not like I called it out for single combat and no.
That's fair, but you were the one who dealt the killing blow.
Cool.
You should learn to be a little bit more proud of your accomplishments, my dear.
Why?
There's
What would that do for me or anyone else?
self-confidence to start with. I'm not saying being boisterous or being overly proud of what you've done, but recognizing the good things you've done. You're a formidable fighter, you're a beautiful woman, and you've killed a dragon. Take a little pride in that. How many people can say that they killed a dragon?
Okay.
I just want
Say.
you to be as proud of you as I'm as proud of you.
I don't know if I'm at all capable of doing that.
Why we start one thing at a time. First, we get everyone in the estate calling you Dragon Slayer.
Please don't do that.
I won't
Please
do
don't.
that. I won't do that if you don't want me to. But we
I'm
start.
trying to be as low profile as possible right now, while also being as high profile to get as many people on my side as possible.
That's fair. No. You can't have it both ways.
I know.
We'll work on it. He takes your hand and gives it a little squeeze. Let's go get you to bed. Been a long day.
We were on a boat all day. It's not like that's taxing.
I don't know. I don't have sea legs like the rest of my family apparently does. I was very glad to be off that boat.
You're cute when you're a little bit green. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. You don't like my pale skin?
It's fine.
All right. So you head to your room. Shalanya, you go inside your room, and he bids you good night, looks around very briefly, and gives you a kiss on the forehead before he heads off to his room. You walk into your room, and you look on your bed, and you see a familiar book on your bed. With
What?
the it's leather, brown leather with like a tank of household symbol inscribed into it. It looks to be Svetla's journal.
This is a trap. Sure, this is something really sketchy. Can I just I'm just gonna look at it for like full minute.
Okay.
Like, oh, I'm gonna pull out like one of my swords or something and like flip open the cover. See if there's anything funky about it.
You flip open the cover and you notice that most of the pages in the book have been torn out, except for the last few.
Great.
Do you want to read what's on those last few pages?
Yes.
Do ya?
Okay, I've sent it to you over Discord.
Yeah.
Give you time to read that.
Oh shoot! No. I hate you.
Oh, man.
You want me to read it out loud, or just like
It's
can
up
I
to
read
you.
it to
Read
myself?
it to yourself. Or read it out loud. It's up to you.
Okay.
I would probably recommend reading it to yourself first, though.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Do other things.
Okay. So assuming that Shalanya reads that and then cries herself to sleep and doesn't do anything else, you awaken the next morning. Shalanya does not immediately come out of her room for story purposes. However, Cor Vit, you walk out and you see that there are a new set of guards. It's not the same set of guards who who were watching your room before, but it looks like they've probably been changing like every hour or so, the guards. Galina and Piotr, you both walk out of your room. And you head down to the dining hall. And where you have breakfast. The rest of Cor Vit's family isn't there. They're all kind of doing their own thing. But soon afterwards, Shalanya does make her way down to the dining hall. But yeah, so this is kind of one of your 3 days currently. You all have things you'd like to do. Cor Vit, you said you wanted to go to the temple, correct? The cathedral?
Yes.
Okay, so you're gonna go to the cathedral.
All the stuff today, guys. All the stuff.
Galina, you will be going to the you will be going to the play later tonight. You did say you had some shopping you wanted to do, as well as you did mention that you wanted to talk to the boyar about your parents' research. So what order would you like to do those two things? In shopping first, or talk to the boyar first?
We would ask Fredo when he's free and then fit her shopping in around that.
Gotcha. The boyar will be free around 11 o'clock, in a few hours. A few hours, slightly before lunch. Is that okay for time to meet with him?
Yes. Thank you.
I will fit you into his schedule. Piotr, you didn't tell me what you want to do, so you get to tag along with one of your 2 friends.
Galena it is, on account of I don't like migraines.
Okay. All right. So, do you want to go shopping now, Galena, or do you want to go shopping a little after you talk to him?
Go now.
Okay. We'll go now. So, all right. I did send you the the general price of. So you wanted to find some not sleeping potions, some health potions, lesser health potions. Those can be, so you can find them in several locations. There are high-end shops in the lower district. There are, mid-grade shops in the central district, and there will be super cheap but sketchy shops in the lower docks district. So it is up to you where you would like to go look for your potions.
But from a gameplay perspective, isn't a lesser healing potion just a lesser healing potion?
Sure, if you're an unimaginative DM.
Oh.
Called
Get
out.
the good stuff.
Galena's never been here before. Piotr, I hear you've been here before.
Yeah, I've dabbled on these streets. I don't know what that... Anyway. You said you want some healing potions, right?
Yes, it seems like this group runs into danger often, so it could be a good thing. I'd also like to see, this is a big city. I want to see everything. Not all right before lunch. I need to get back in time for my appointment, though. Show me half of everything. Let's go.
Everything divided by 2 coming up. And on our left, we have one side of the street. You can't look on the right because I'm only showing you half of the city. So Piotr, I'm trying to remember what Piotr would have done in this city. I'll just ad-lib it.
Well, I mean, so I can give you a few ideas if you're interested, or you can ad-lib it. It's up to you. So as an ambassador, there's several places of interest to you directly. The first and probably most interesting thing to you directly would be the headquarters of the Tradewind Mercantile Consortium, which is number 5 on the map.
And a tongue twister.
The Tradewind Mercantile Consortium, or the Consortium for serves as both embassy and headquarters for the merchants there. Tradewind is the they control most of the islands in the Central Sea, and so they can, and as such, they control most of the trade going back and forth between the eastern and western continents. And so, you probably would have, and you would have worked with, definitely. You remember that Merchant Lord Robert Mayweather is the current merchant lord in the current ambassador in the headquarters of the TMC for short, or the consortium, and so you actually would have worked with him in making your coalition against protection against pirates and the Norseans.
Yep, but Piotr doesn't want to chum with anyone he knows right now, so
Okay, and that's fair. I'm just telling you that's where you had been. You probably would have been before. I mean, of course, other places of interest that you probably would have visited in your last thing would be the Guild of Artisans and Weavers, things like that, as well as some of the inns. Galena, another place of interest to you, of course, might be the School of Sorcery Correspondence Academy. Up to you if you would like to go visit that or not. But you're guessing that's probably where the Boyar Peshek found a lot of his information on you, if he was, since that is, the closest, School of Sorcery thing, and that is number 3 on the map. But so
Piotr, sorry, go ahead.
If it was mentioned in her presence, because she wouldn't know that exists, because it didn't 200 years ago, but if it was mentioned in her presence, then she would totally mention that to Piotr and want to go see it.
Yes, you are right. It was not added. It's correct. Good job you reading the lore and me forgetting the lore I wrote. You're correct. So you would not know that exists. So it was not mentioned. You wouldn't know. Good job.
It's okay. Piotr's gotcha. So they're just like going down an avenue. He goes, and right there at this inn called the Silver Bronze Dagger, is
You couldn't
where
have
me-
used any of the 3 inns that the two inns that I provided you on your on the map.
No, because I forgot all their names, and I can't zoom in enough on Discord to really read anything. Oops. Anyway, there, some friends and I, back in my studious days, would play our instruments at the tavern. We wanted to be musicians of some renown. Never really took off, unfortunately, but such is the way things go when you're a bard just starting out. And hey, look, now I'm still not renowned for my musical prowess, so there we go, I guess. But hey, I've got an idea. Patrick, what was the name of that place again?
Which place? I mentioned a lot of places.
The wizard one that she didn't know about because it was like
The
not.
School of Sorcery Correspondence Academy that you probably would have attended at some point.
Yep.
Diplomatic training.
I've got a really cool place that I'm sure you'd be interested in seeing. I learned a lot about messaging and corresponding and magical ways to facilitate those activities. That, for whatever reason, that's like a brain twister of a title for me, so I can't remember. One more time, I swear I'll remember it.
School, I doubt it, but School of Sorcery Correspondence Academy.
The School of Sorcery Correspondence Academy. That is our next stop.
So first, before you go there, where are you taking Galena to pick up her potions? Are you taking her to a high-end potion shop, mid-grade potion shop, or low-grade potion shop?
He's going to suggest. Okay, Galena, I have. Obviously this is a town. Got a lot of different options as far as where to get your potions. I suggest something mid-grade or higher, but obviously, as you can imagine, there are some very expensive shops in this town. So what's your price range? How rich is your blood?
Oh, I have exactly 20 gold left.
Mid-range.
That's why hanging out with this group has been great, since I haven't been charged for food or a place to stay, because when those Norsean raiders captured me, they did take most of the gold. Only the stuff I had in my hidden pockets still left.
I'll tell you what. He hands her 50 gold pieces. This'll help some. But yeah, we should probably go to the mid. Wait, does Piotr know offhand? I'm sure he does. How much a lesser healing potion would cost?
10 gold pieces. That's what I said.
That's enough to get a few.
Yes, 10 gold pieces.
So yeah, that should help your collection some.
Okay. How many gold pieces do you want, Galena? I mean, gold pieces. How many potions do you want, Galena?
She was only gonna get one, but I guess now she'll get enough to share. She'll get 3.
Okay. Alright. Got 3 potions. Okay. Alright, so you make your way to the School of Sorcery Correspondence Academy. It has when you arrive, so it's in the southern part of the city. It is this huge building with massive, tall, very elven-like towers, curved, purple tiles on the roofs that say, "Hey, look, I'm magical because I'm purple." And so you arrive, and there are, instead of, the Imperial, army guards standing outside the. You see instead 2 giant stone golems standing outside. Just standing there, very menacing like. As you approach, they look at you, and you see that their eyes, that are normally glowing blue, flash a yellow briefly as they are, scanning you, and then you hear them say, "Welcome, Piotr. Welcome, Galina, graduates of the Academy. How may we service you today?"
Oh, thank you. I had forgotten how warm your welcomings are. How personalized. I have a friend here. I'm just showing her around our old stomping grounds.
Records indicate Galina Laskin is a graduate of the School of Sorcery. You are both welcome on the premises. Cause no trouble.
Yeah, I plan on not doing so. Thank you, Mr. What's your name?
This is Unit XX44.
Well, XX44, you've done a bang-up job. Thank you, and have a great day. And I guess, just give it a tour. This is a library I would read. I don't know. It's depending on the day. Sometimes I'd read a lot. Sometimes.
So,
you ever have the?
real quick, sorry, Galina. Now that you are here, is there anything specifically that you want to look at now that you are aware this place exists?
While he's going off on about how much he's been reading, she's going to give him a look that clearly indicates she does not believe he read it all. And then she's just going to start walking up the steps to go ahead into the library to check out their spell section and see what they've got.
All right. Okay. So you head up into the library. You head to the excuse me. You head, to the, it's the spells section, and there is a librarian awaiting for you, and he informs you that you can, that they have access to, a wide variety of spells, that you can obtain. The current scrolls on, there's a lot of scrolls on sale. Let me shoot you this list of the scrolls that you have that are available, and then you can make a decision on what scrolls you want.
Do we have those spell scrolls that we got from? I remember getting some spell scrolls that none of us could use because they were like wizard sorcerer spells forever ago. Do we still have those?
Yes. Arcane Lock is one of them.
Yeah.
I was hoping it was an Arcane Unlock when I tried to go open my father's study door. It was not that. I forget the other. Some Fireball or something.
I feel like it was like Shield of Faith or something.
Oh. Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, I am getting these sent to you, Sarah.
Sorry, if I thought of this sooner, I would have let you know.
No, you're good. That's A-okay. I just have to copy, paste, and then delete some of the extra stuff that doesn't need to be there.
Firebolt spell. Firebolt and Arcane Lock.
Okay, I sent it to you over Discord. Okay. While you're looking at that, let's jump to someone else real quick. Let's jump to Cor Vit.
Boy.
Why am I waiting?
No, I said, oh boy.
Oh boy. I thought you said
Yeah.
wait. All right.
Nope,
so-
I did not say the wait.
Okay. So Cor Vit, you So you head to, there are several different temples, churches you can go to. There's the Cathedral of the Golden Flame, which of course is the biggest one and closest one, but most of the districts have their own their own smaller church, so that way they can meet the needs of such a large city.
I would probably head to the cathedral, see if
All right.
what I can do there.
So you head to the cathedral. The cathedral, of course, is moderately busy, as there are people. It is highly frequented by nobility and as well as those few a few of the lower classes that can that make their way up there. You walk in, and of course it's long, it's huge. There's long rows of pews. You take a seat at one, and you bow your head, and you begin your prayer, asking for the information that you're seeking.
Silhana. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh. I start praying to Silhana, first of all. I want you to know, first off, that I don't deny your teachings or things like that. I just am figuring out how best to live my life. I believe that you're good and you want good for others and for us here. And I want to do good. Hope you know and see that. I want to stop the Profane Guard. I want to stop this darkness that's come upon this land, and just that has been hounding me the past year. What happened? If there's any way, can you help me know what happened the night that I murdered my friends and family at the monastery? Because I know now that someone else put their influence, cast something on me. I would never do such a thing. And I just sit and sit and sit for hour upon hour there. Just praying, just pouring out a feeling of hopelessness sometimes, a feeling of just, I want to do good and I'm trying to do it the best way that I know how. And yeah, hoping she can help.
So the hours pass. No answer comes. Eventually, you do feel a presence next to you. When you look up, you see an older woman in white robes and she's holding a scepter, that looks like a dragon. It's a long stick that looks like a dragon. The dragon usually depicted as Silhana, wrapped around it, and you realize you are looking at Archmatriarch Alexander III.
Archmatriarch, hello.
Hello there. We don't often have parishioners come in and sit for several hours, and I figured that you deserve a little bit of attention. And she looks at your eyes, and appears I may be right, young Cor Vit Pashek.
What do you see?
A troubled soul. Very troubled. More troubled than even the Emperor himself currently. But only slightly. The Tsar has much on his mind. She sits down next to you.
Imagine.
It's not very often that I get to sit, but I've instructed the rest of the clergy that they should leave us be for a while. And you look around, you see that the entire of the room is empty.
Oh, dang. Okay. Yeah.
So, what is troubling you, young Pashek?
So many things.
You're too young to have so many worries on your mind. Get to my age. Then we can talk.
I guess first off, I seek answers. I seek to know what happened to
You
the
speak.
monastery.
As we say, you speak of the monastery. Yes. We have been wondering the same thing ourselves, of course, for many, many months.
I know bits and pieces, but I don't know the whole truth.
And what bits and pieces do you know? Perhaps we can put the the bits and pieces that I know together with the bits and pieces you know, come to an answer.
And oh gosh, can I make an insight check to see how sincere she is?
Go for it.
15? 15.
She's very sincere.
I know it was by my hand that everyone there was killed. But it was not by my mind. I'm the one who did the deeds, but I know something came over me, and that's all. I don't know who or what. I suspect I know kind of who in the general term. I want to help and save our country for all the many flaws we have in it, all the many things that we as people and nobility and dragon touched, all of our faults. I want to help and make this place safer.
Understandable. We were aware of your involvement, but we do not judge you, nor do we place blame upon you. I have a name that I can give you, but you must promise me that you won't seek vengeance on this person, but rather retribution. Vengeance is not Solana's way, but retribution and punishment is.
We'll strive to do that.
I need more than a strive. I need a promise.
I'll focus and gain mastery over my emotions.
Very well. Ilanov. Ilanov is a member of the Council of the Profane Guard. I believe you may have met him. He's responsible for the death of one of your friends.
Yuck.
Yes. We don't know for certain, but we do know that he was in the area around Arthmail shortly before the massacre at your monastery. We don't know that he was him for certain who used the magics that befouled your mind, but we do know that if he is not the one, he would have the information on who would have done it. Unfortunately, I lost track of him shortly after the massacre, but we picked up his scent again when he killed your friend.
Thank you, Archmatriarch.
You're welcome.
Where can
Well-
we find clues to him?
Continue on the path you're on. It'll become clear. Don't go saying that Silhana's never done anything for you.
Thank you.
Welcome. She stands up and walks out of the cathedral. Walks out of the center area of the cathedral, probably to somewhere else in the cathedral. Let's jump back to, really quickly, jump back to Galina and Piotr. Did you make a decision on any scrolls you wanted to buy? I know a lot of those are really expensive.
Piotr, how much money do you have on you?
Jingles' purse, or whatever it is. Yeah, coin purse. His satchel. About 107 gold coins.
I see. How do we go about making more money? How does one do that?
Good question. I've never. Recently I haven't done it deliberately. Sometimes people are appreciative of the things we do and they give us money. Sometimes they'll be like, hey, find my frying pan, and then we find the frying pan and we get nothing. I don't know, it's just, it can be, it's hard to predict, Galina. But sometimes, anyway, what do you need?
Well, I don't need any of these,
What would you like?
but the grease spell looks interesting.
What does it cost?
120 gold pieces.
And you have, wait, did you already buy potions?
Yes, I still have 40 gold left.
Well, I have enough that you could. You know what? Yeah, I never use my gold anyway. Here.
Now I'm gonna make you use your gold.
I know.
Sugar daddy.
Actually, I have more than that. That's just what he has on his. Because I literally, I think I bought like 2 things this whole campaign.
You have all the party gold. You have all the money.
That's true.
Forgot about that.
So yeah, here. Buy the scroll. I'm sure it'll help the party. What's the spell do?
It creates. Slick grease covers the ground in a 10-foot square centered on a point within range and turns it into difficult terrain for the duration. So I can turn the ground for 10-foot square into grease and everything standing on it will fall over unless they're very dexterous.
Can we catch it on fire?
Yep. I always say you can catch grease on fire.
Sweet. That's why you should always want your DM to be a Divinity Original Sin player.
Or just a firebug. That works too.
Yeah, anyway, we won't go down that path, that tangent, but that's awesome. We could use some battlefield control stuff in our party, that's for sure. How long? I mean, I've never learned magic like that. What's that process look like?
I will go back to the castle and I will study the scroll.
So, But like, how does like you just read it and then like all of a sudden like I guess I don't understand the mechanics.
I'm going to add it to my book. I have a wizard book.
Oh, okay.
Copying it into my book will help me to memorize it. And then I will have enough spells that every night before bed, we will need to figure out what we're doing tomorrow so that I can prepare a certain number. Because I have to fix them in my mind. At the moment, I have only had enough that I can have them all fixed within my mind. But now I will have more.
That is exciting. I'm glad that you have to make a choice. I don't know. That's
Yes, it's difficult because you think you're going to do something tomorrow, and then a giant mimic ship shows up, and maybe you didn't prepare Fireball.
Sounds like you should always just prepare Fireball.
yeah. Fireballs are always good.
Ian, your camera.
Yeah, I'm aware. I don't know.
Well, so now that you have Grease, is there any other spells that you're interested in obtaining, or do you want to head back for your meeting with the Boyar?
The others were kind of pricey. She's kind of surprised she managed to get so much gold out of him at the moment, actually, so she'll head back.
Go chase a sugar daddy. All right. Okay, so you head back to the castle. You make your way up towards the study, like Fredo instructed you, and you wait outside. Fredo opens the door and says, Miss Laskin, the Boyar is waiting for you. Okay, so you start to head inside, and Piotr, he stops you before you can follow, and says, I'm afraid the meeting is only with Miss Laskin.
All right.
Good. Give me a wisdom saving throw as the door closes.
Hope you like the vocalization
Always.
there. Wait. How do I? Okay. All right, little Miss Fodder. Wish me luck. 20, not natural.
Okay, so you are immune to the headaches for 24 hours. All right. So, Galena, you enter in, and the Boyar has a seat prepared for you and a cup of tea sitting and waiting for you. He looks up from some papers he's reading. Miss Laskin, please take your seat. And I hope you don't have cinnamon tea. It's a delicacy that you don't often find this far north in Mordver, but is quite common in the Southern Isles. Have you ever had cinnamon tea before?
Not recently.
Interesting. Well, here's some for you, if you so desire. He then takes a sip of his own tea, and then he looks up at you. So, your parents' research, how much do you know about it?
Well, I was hoping that you could tell me first, so I don't have to worry about giving away sensitive information.
Understand that? He pulls out a stack of papers, and he says, "This happens to be some of your father's original notes, I believe. They were left in the care of the School of Sorcery, and when the School of Sorcery, the Correspondence Academy opened up here, they were transferred here for safekeeping. I'm surprised it still exists. The subject matter here is quite fascinating. It's it's investigation. Your father and mother were looking at a way to raise the dead without the use of necromancy or divine magic. And we're not referring to the necromantic arts that Morpheus and his cultists would apply, but like a cleric, being able to bring one from the dead back to life." He hands you the notes. Perhaps you'd care to read. They had made quite a bit of progress, but the church did shut the research down. I'm surprised that these notes still exist.
Yes, that is surprising.
All right. But it's fascinating research, if possible. The church is, to a degree, quite stingy on their use of resurrection magic. Of course, the target having to be willing, as well as, time limits on some of the lesser resurrection spells, and then the greater resurrection spells requiring such immense fuel sources, and that very expensive fuel sources. But, your father seemed to have been convinced that he had a way to do it, that would not have required such expensive resources.
Yes, he was a very smart man.
I'm very impressed. I, of course, am no magic user myself, but I do my best to study up on everything that I can. You imagine the power that's being able to, that one who could wield this spell would have. How it would change the face of not only war, but everyday life, to be able to, bring back those who died prematurely without, not the need for expensive diamonds or Ethereum. Pretty revolutionary. Of course, the church being as it is, wanting to maintain control over that magic, I can understand why they decided to put a stop to it.
Yes. It is the shame, though.
Quite.
Mother has always done what the church wanted, though, so I'm sure she hasn't continued with that research. Although she's probably still somewhat interested in it since the death of my father. It would explain some of the reading that she's had me do lately.
Certainly. Such as what? And what is particular subjects that she had you study? And perhaps she's continuing your father's work.
Oh, just the basics, such as how clerics go about bringing back the dead, and of course she wouldn't have me read the necromantic arts because that's very frowned upon.
Of course. Shame. Well, my steward Fredo happens to be he's from Averill. They are less restrictive about magic than we are here in Morver. Perhaps my steward could assist you and your mother in your research.
Oh, I will keep that in mind, and the next time I see her, I will let her know.
Of course, certainly. But don't delay too long. I can't help but feel like your father was very close to a breakthrough.
What would be too long?
I mean, take your time, of course, but if you could possibly, within the next few months, get back to us on that. I have a courier. Perhaps they could, you could write a letter and send it to your mother. Of course, no rush. Do as you wish.
Yes. I usually do. Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome.
Can I take these papers with me?
Of course, they were your father's. I would not wish to separate you from his work.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
She finishes the last of her tea and then gets up to leave.
And, he just resumes reading some more papers as you get up and you walk out of the room. Alright. Okay. I believe. Is there anything else you wish to do, Galena and Piotr? Not.
I don't know. Is Galena gonna fall over dead?
No, she's fine. No ill effects from the tea.
Sure. It's a slow acting venom.
Why is my whole family so just sus? All of them.
Yeah, I don't know.
wrote
Why'd
them.
you bring us
You
here?
wrote them. Why did you make them so sus?
Only my dad really, and then kind of my sister. But that's about it. Everyone though is just you can't trust anyone.
To be fair, everyone in this world is sus. Let's just be fair.
Including us. Let's be so real
Piotr,
right now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, Shalanya. You spent the night crying last night. You woke up this morning?
Yeah. So I was just like sitting there with the remains of the journal, just like reading over the last like page over and over again, and just like thinking through everything. And just like last night it was sadness. Last night it was a lot of tears. This morning it's a lot of frustration, a lot of just like fully being over so many things. And she is going to try and call on Yarrick again.
Okay. Where are you going to go to try to call on Yarrick?
I'm just gonna stay in my room, probably. I feel like that's the only place that I'm gonna really be able to be unwatched, unless there's peepholes in the walls that I am unaware of.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see if Yarrick is willing to answer your prayer this time around.
Okay. I'll do, once again, like all 3 languages, using some blood. I'll do it all. I know it's not necessarily necessary, but
You
too bad.
close your eyes, and when you open your eyes, you feel immense heat. You find yourself standing on top of a brimstone tower, looking upon a scorched and ashen landscape where fire is blazing across it like forests. You see 2 armies clashing with each other. One seems to be made purely of tieflings, and the other is made of a combination of different devils that you don't even know the names of. Standing on top of the Ashen Tower next to you is Yarrick, his dark gray skin, his black angel wings, his armor and sword. Stands and he looks at you. In the middle of a war, my dear. What do you
Apparently
need?
so am I.
You are. Yes.
Why? Who decided?
Who decided that you were to be a part of this war?
Yes.
If I had the answer to everything, what makes you think that I'll tell you?
Why does anyone want to tell me anything? No one wants to tell us anything at all. We're told that we are chosen, that we're some sort of important people, and that we're supposed to do this great thing, and then nothing. No input, no guidance, no nothing. All we get is sometimes some of our little holy men get little whispers from saints, and all it is very cryptic, like, oh, you're very special. We don't get anything. How are we expected to do anything against a god and his cult full of people who've been planning things for centuries when we're a handful of children, essentially, doing things on our own? If people want us to survive, to do anything, they should do something.
The person who wanted to give you your instructions was interrupted while attempting to call you to them to give you your instructions. That's why you ended up in that valley. A ritual that they were performing prevented you from being summoned to the location that you needed.
So what? The Dark Priestess is our boss? Is that the whole point?
I'm going to say no more on that matter.
Well, then nod or shake your head. No words required.
You're quite upset.
Yes.
I am terribly sorry.
Doesn't seem like it.
Believe me. I have other concerns. Motions down to the battlefield. I spend every day fighting to prevent these hordes from overwhelming my forces and entering into your world and burning it to ash. It's not your war. It's not the only war being fought.
Right. And you can't even say one sentence? Can't even give me a name of someone who could give me more answers? Anything? We're wandering around with our eyes covered up, trying to find the one needle in a haystack that could do something to help us.
Captain Leodov
Are you serious?
has more information. He has some very specific instructions he's supposed to follow. If you are interested in eventually meeting the one who would summon you, recommend waiting for him to accomplish the tasks he needs to accomplish in preparation.
We're just supposed to wait.
Is that not what you're doing? You're waiting anyway for a wedding?
I had hoped to be doing something in the meantime.
There's plenty for
I
you
don't
to
want
do.
my whole life to be, hinged on someone else's wedding.
There's plenty for you to do in Astrahva while you are there. Not need to sit and wait.
I don't want to just go to shows and look at architecture when the world is about to fall apart.
I would expect no less of you. You've heard the name the Ashen Hunter.
Yes.
Recommend investigating him.
Okay. Fine.
Sorry. Believe me, I wish I could give you more information, but there are rules that the universe is built upon.
Right. Great fighting someone who doesn't like to follow rules. We're stuck on one path and we can't do anything about it. It's great. Don't be surprised when we lose.
You think you're on one path?
Well, you've told me I have to.
You have two, but you have many paths that just lead to the same place.
Yeah.
And in the case of this war, even the outcome has not been decided yet. What you do can still affect many of the things that will happen in the final battle.
You'd think that the people invested in it would do something to try and tip the scales. That's all.
Believe me, they have been trying very, very hard to tip the scales in your favor.
Sure.
Unfortunately, the other side has been playing interference. There are more than two sides to this war. Even more than three.
Which one are you on? You
Of
took
course.
yourself off of Silhana's side a long time ago.
Oh, I still fight for my lady. But she needs me on this war front, not on the war front of the material world.
Apparently she sleeps. Maybe she needs you to do something else. Orders given centuries or millennia ago, maybe they're out of date. Don't expect that nothing will ever change. She wouldn't want you to do something else. Be your own person, maybe. I just kind of cross my arms. I'm so over this now. I'm ready to go.
Okay. As you do, you find yourself back in your room.
Okay. I'm immediately just start walking somewhere, trying to eventually run into somebody that I know.
Well, it doesn't take you very long to run into Antivin, who was coming to your room to see where you were at.
Okay.
He looks at you. Where have you been? Yeah.
Reading.
Reading.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and give me a deception check.
Oh, I'm not trying to deceive him. I'm going to hand him the book.
Oh, okay. Looks at it. He sits and he reads the last page. He looks at you. I'm terribly sorry. How important the book was to you.
Yeah. There's not really anything that can be done, though. Pages are probably in a fire somewhere. That's all.
Possibly, but don't you think it's a little weird that they left these for you to read? The pages specifically addressed to you?
Yes. I do find it very telling.
What's it tell?
They want to mess with me or something?
Yeah, he reaches out and takes your hand and squeezes it. there's something else going on besides this. What else? Tell me.
We're expected to do all of this. We're expected, decided by some being, some whoever long time ago, that we, the 6 of us, the 4 of us, whoever many are left, are supposed to stop Morpheus from returning. Or something. We're not told what we're supposed to do. We're left riddles and hints that are so subtle they are lost on all of us. We're, some sort of key piece in something, but we're just kind of floating, just left by ourselves. Immense pressure of the whole world and no instruction.
It's one of those situations where I should just listen, or should you want me to say something?
I don't know.
World's a confusing place. If we knew the end from the beginning, it would, we knew every step we were supposed to take, what would we learn?
This shouldn't be about a personal journey. This is about the fate of all the people that live on this earth. It shouldn't matter what I get out of it. My life is not as important as everyone else's.
I won't say anything to that particular comment because I would disagree, but...
You shouldn't.
I shouldn't disagree that your life is less important than everyone else's?
But if it came down to a trade between me and everyone else, I would hope you choose everyone else.
Perhaps the journey isn't so much of a personal one, but a journey of preparing to be who you need to be at the end of it, to be able to do what you need to do.
I don't like being fixed.
I don't think there's I think you're fine the way you are. And if you decide that you don't want to change, then don't. But, as you say, being the, when it comes down to you or the world, wouldn't you say becoming someone different would be worth it to save the world? I don't have all the answers, and I might be just pulling things out of thin air for all I know. I don't even know if this is the real reason, but I look at what we've done so far. Saved Norgar, and you saved Cordovan. I don't know. I think that we're at least think we're still headed in the right direction.
We're walking blind. I don't like it.
I don't like it
Not
either.
like I'm going to stop. It's not like I'm going to walk away. I have my path set. But I feel like I am justified in being dissatisfied.
I would agree with you. Hopefully, things will become clearer.
Apparently, the captain knows something.
Really?
I was shocked as you. Seemed like a fool to me, but a fool that knows too much.
There are times Piotr seems like a fool to me, but he's a very capable, apparently a very capable diplomat, despite the fact that he seems to tongue-tie himself and trip over his own words. Sometimes those who seem the most foolish to us are hiding their wisdom, and those who seem the most wise are just hiding their foolishness.
Are you hiding foolishness right now? Because you're being very wise.
Oh, I mean, I'm hiding all sorts of foolishness. Not a perfect person.
Okay.
He takes your hand again and squeezes it and says, it's going to be okay. I'll make sure of that.
Probably shouldn't hold my hand too much. There's, any number of people around.
Let's go. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. But for now, we focus on what we can do. We have to prepare to go see a play.
Great.
All right. Yeah, you. Okay. That's where. See. Yeah, that's where we're gonna call it for the night. We're all gonna go see a play tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow. We're gonna say. I mean, it will be tomorrow in game. But next time we come back, we're gonna go see a play, The Maiden of the Sun Hollow. Thanks everybody for coming out. It's been a fun session. It's been a good session. Just a few reminders. Next week on the 21st is Rehash the Roles. We will be posting who our guests are once we know who they are. We discuss that. And then
For the new people in chat who don't know what Rehash is, there's a Q&A show. You ask questions to us, and you can... Oh my gosh, I'm trying to get the form to drop. And we answer them. There we go. Form is in chat for you.
Yep. And then on the 23rd, we have our continuation of Heroic Tales. They were left in a kind of precarious situation last time we checked. I am very interested to see where that goes. And then the other thing is, we do have our one shot, coming up probably in the next few weeks, probably the 13th of August. But it's undecided, exactly what day it will be. So just watch out for that. And we will, and that'll be interesting. My first foray into game mastering Savage Worlds. It'll be interesting. Cool. And yeah, that's that. Thanks for coming out. We will talk with you all later. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.